As Pam has shared with you, we spoke to each of our speakers and we said to them, everybody starts somewhere. Many people in our event are starting from a skill level or an age level that is far below where you are now. So there's a small sense of intimidation or concern. So if you would share with us how you started out when you were looking at your career paths, when you were a 20-something. And our next speaker is Aaron DeHogue. This is Aaron. In 2001, he was a teacher. He was making $25,000 a year, which I know for some of you sounds like a good amount of money. It certainly did to me at that age. He interviewed for a sales position at a financial publishing company, and he was told that if he did well, he could make $50,000 a year. And he remembers thinking, wow, if I could make $50,000 a year for the rest of my life, I will be rich. Little did he know where that career would take him. Last year, his company, Banyan Hill, many of you know Banyan Hill will be a job fair. Last year, his company, Banyan Hill, purchased the company that hired Aaron originally, Weiss Research. With that, please welcome Aaron to our stage.
Thank you, first of all, for that great introduction. I didn't know I'd be walking out to, I think, some type of superhero music. It's really awesome. So yeah, today I wanted to talk to you guys about the copy secret that will make you $1 million next year. And I got to be honest, AWAI asked me what my presentation topic was going to be about 6 months ago. And when they asked me, I just was like, you know what, what's going to get a room full of people to come hear me speak? So I said, I'm going to talk about the copy secret that's going to make you $1 million next year. And then I sent that in, and then I was like, okay, now I got to spend the next 6 months figuring out how I can make you guys $1 million next year. So I've been working on this for quite a while. But to get us started, what I want you to do is turn to your neighbor and tell your neighbor, I'm going to make $1 million next year. Go ahead, do it. All right. Good, good. Now turn to your other neighbor. Now turn to your other neighbor and say, this guy's crazy. This guy's crazy. I mean, $1 million, is that possible? Well, that's what we're going to talk about today. Is it possible for you in a copy career to reach the financial dreams that you really want to achieve? Maybe it's $1 million, maybe it's different. Now, my presentation, I realized when I was looking at the agenda, okay, first of all, I realized when I was looking at the agenda that I would be speaking after Kevin Rogers. And that was a little intimidating. I can't tell jokes like Kevin. It was amazing jokes. I have some knock-knock jokes that are pretty good, so we can talk about that later. So what I did is I created a Prezi. We're not doing PowerPoint, we're doing a Prezi, okay? And there's 4 main things we're going to talk about today. First, I'm going to give you an introduction to who I am. Then we're going to talk about Banyan Hill, a division of Agora that's done very well. And then we're going to talk about how they did it. I'll explain who they are in a second. And then a couple final notes. So the copy secret is going to make you $1 million. Now, full disclaimer. We're going to go into the introduction. Full disclaimer. Past performance is not indicative of future results. How much you make depends on if you really are trying to write copy from a beach. I mean, come on, writing from a beach sucks. You have the sun, the sand, wind, heat, water distractions, and now we've got red tide in Florida. It's impossible. But what is your goal? And that's what I want you guys to think about. Before I even start, I said, look, $1 million. That's a big goal, right? But write down your goal. I want you to write it down or put it on your phone if you're fancy, or if you want to put it in your computer. I want you to write down your goal, but before you actually write it down, think about it a little bit, right? It's like Napoleon Hill when he said, think and grow rich. You have to think about what you have to do in order to achieve that goal. So if it's $1 million, you have to think about what you do, how much work you got to put into it, how many people you got to know, how many businesses you have to introduce yourself to. So think about it. I'm going to give you about 20 seconds. That's all I'm going to give you, because I don't want you to think about it too long. But write down your goal for what you have for 2019. And then we're going to start talking about this presentation and how I might be able to help you get there. All right, hopefully you guys got that written down. If not, you can keep focusing on it and ignore what I say in the next few minutes. I just want to do a quick introduction to who I am, Aaron DeHogue. You may have never heard of me, but I'm kind of a big deal. I mean, I just put a puzzle together in one day, and the box said it would take 2 to 4 years. As mentioned, I actually started out in this business in 2001. I was a teacher. Actually, I should say 2003. I was a teacher in 2001. In 2003, I started out as a salesperson in this business. All right, this is my identity, Kevin. My identity. I was a teacher, and then I started struggling. I realized making $25,000 was hard to make it, right? I was getting married. I had this beautiful fiance, and I was like, how am I going to provide? We did a budget, and I remember thinking, this isn't going to work. So I actually went into sales at a company called Weiss Research. I was really good at sales. But I realized there was a ceiling on how much I could do. I joined a company called Newsmax Media in 2005, and I helped really start their financial publishing business. And that kind of grew. I was there until 2015. We did a lot of great things at Newsmax. And then in 2015, I joined a division of Agora called Sovereign Society. Now, Sovereign Society had been around since 1998. It hadn't grown a whole lot. I came on board and really started introducing a lot of the things I'm going to talk about today, and we were able to really turn some things around. So that's really a real short history of who I am. So with that said, let's look at Banyan Hill. This is our logo. We got a really cool tree on it. We chose this tree called a banyan tree for a reason. And it's because the banyan tree is one of the strongest trees out there. It actually, as it grows, it extends its big branches and it drops new roots down, which becomes trunks. And then it keeps on expanding and expanding. If left untouched by humans, these trees can grow a full acre wide. And they're basically indestructible. And when it comes to financial lives, what we want to do as a company is help our readers become financially indestructible by creating extra sources of revenue and extra security. And you can, of course, take that analogy and put it in your own life. A lot of you people here are, like Kevin was saying, it's like might be your second or third career. And maybe you still have a full-time job and you're looking to add some extra money and you're creating that extra trunk for security, right? And maybe that becomes your main trunk over time. And you're going to be strong and successful throughout your career. So with that said, Banyan Hill, we've been around a while. In 2013 with Sovereign Society still, we were about a $6 million company, sorry, $8 million. 2014 went down to $6 million. A lot of changes started happening in 2015 when I came on board. We brought a copy team on board that was a little bit different. We also brought on a strong marketing team and strong editorial team to build around what was already there. And we immediately went from $6 million up to $11 million the next year. The year after that, we went up to $50 million. The year after that, last year, we hit $113 million. This year, we're on track for like $130 million. So we've had a lot of success. You can clap for that. Feel free to clap for that. It's something to be proud of, and I want to share that success with you. A lot of what I'm talking about today is how we were able to do this. And I am speaking to you from a publisher standpoint, okay? I'm the guy that kind of sits behind everything, like the CEO, and makes things happen. With that said, I spend about 70% of my time in copy, rewriting copy, reviewing copy, coming up with big copy ideas, so I know a lot about the copy world. We're also famous at Banyan Hill for the $12 million day. We launched a product about a year and a half ago, and it did $12 million within 24 hours. It still holds the record for one day's sales in our business. And it really all comes down to 5 copywriters who helped us do that. So, I'm trying to even read this. These 5 copywriters, I want you guys to participate in this. So, I have a couple highlighted words, and I want you to read them out with me. So, these 5 copywriters bring in more in gross sales I like that. I was actually just expecting to read the highlighted part, but that's good. That was really good. You guys are ready to go. Okay, so these 5 copywriters bring in more in gross sales than any other company that I know of. It's $20 million per person. Most companies out there don't bring in $20 million per company. Our team of 5 copywriters last year brought in $20 million. This year, we're about 7 people. It's a little bit lower than that. Will probably be about $18 million per person. Now, if that doesn't make your jaw drop and be like, wow, that's amazing, then I don't know what will, because who doesn't want to work with a company that has copywriters who are raking in $20 million per person? So with that said, a lot of it came back to those 5 copywriters. I'm going to talk about them more in a moment. Really, in our business, in the financial publishing business, in the health business, wherever you're at, it really comes down to front-end promotions. Let me define what I mean by that. Front-end promotions are promotions written to get people in the door. It's the cold call, right? You've never met me before, but somehow in a really short conversation, I'm going to convince you to purchase access to me. Now, the goal, okay, we're just going to read the highlighted part this time, to get your target audience to admire and trust your guru so much that they are eager to pay for access to him or her. I'm going to break this down real quick, okay? To get your target audience, right? I heard Kevin just talk about this. Your whole audience isn't everybody, right? He talked about a woman and said, well, the audience is really the Christian crowd, the Christian females. Figure out who that target audience is, right? This is marketing 101, I get it, but I can't tell you how many times I get copy in from a copywriter like you guys out here, and they never considered who the target audience is. To admire and trust, okay? Admire and trust who? A guru, all right? Not a product. One of the first things I learned in this business is nobody wants another newsletter. Nobody wants that, okay? But they want access to a guru. They want to get to know your guru, whether it's a health guru or a financial guru or a marketing guru. So much that they are eager to pay for access to him or her. That's really your goal at the end of the day, and you want that goal, okay? My goal as a publisher on a front-end piece of copy is to get people to admire and trust the guru so much. Now think about it from my perspective. I'm a publisher. As a business, I'm not so much interested in getting the front-end sale. I want to get the higher price stuff. So if people are buying just a product, that's all they're going to buy. If they're buying access to a guru, well, that guru just has one, he's got like 3 or 4 products. So now all of a sudden I get them in on one product, now they're buying the next product and the next product, and all of a sudden that $100 sale comes into a $3,000 sale, and it's fabulous. That's where we make our money. So keep that in mind when you're writing promotions for us. When you look at Banyan Hill and you look at our success, it really has come down to 3 key promotions for us to get to where we are today. The first one was a promotion with a sandcastle on it. Now, how silly is that? It's a sandcastle, right? But I'll tell you more about this promotion in a minute. This one brought in about 100,000, 120,000 subscribers. The next one you guys probably have seen involved a dime with a chip on the top of it. If you look closely, you'll see a chip on top of that dime. And the promotion started talking about this one little chip and how it's going to change the world. And by the end, you get introduced to the guru, and you want access to him. Now, it's interesting when I was listening to Kevin talk, and he was really talking about the hero's journey, all right? Every one of our promotions on the front end is always going to talk about that hero's journey, right? That identity, the struggle, the discovery, the results. That's all woven in there. You're not going to see that in every promotion out there that I've seen. And it's so important. I think his speech was so important because you really got to weave that into all promotions. A hook might be a dime with a little chip on the top of it, but really to get people to connect to that guru, you want to get them to identify with that hero's journey. The next one we did was with this check. Okay, this promotion was a little bit cheesier. Perhaps you've seen this one, right? It starts off with one of our gurus, and he says, take a good look at this check. I call it a freedom check. And folks across the nation are collecting these freedom checks every day. People like Boom Boom, and he keeps going on. And it really was able to capture people's attention with this idea of there being such thing as this thing called a freedom check, which is really a dividend check. All right, so let's again look at the big picture. We're talking about the copy secret that's going to make you $1 million next year, or however much you wrote down on your piece of paper. I talked to you about who I am, talked to you a little bit about who Banyan Hill is and our success. Now what I want to do is go to that third bubble up there on the top, how they did it. And by they, I'm talking about the copywriters, because I'm talking to you guys, copywriters, or people who want to become copywriters, and I want you to know how they did it. Because every one of my copywriters at one point was sitting in your shoes, in your seat right now, and now they are writing for us, you're raking in $20 million gross for the company and getting paid very well to do that. So this is where Prezi gets a little cool. This is new for me, this Prezi stuff, so we're going to kind of drill into this little bubble. If you guys, by the way, are trying to follow along in your workbooks, it's pretty accurate, but I put that PowerPoint together. Then I saw Kevin was talking before me, and I said, I got to do something to look better than Kevin. I don't got the jokes, but I can do Prezi. So we got Prezi now. All right, so here's how they did it and how you will make $1 million next year. Okay, there's 2 subcategories underneath that. The first one is the 3 cornerstones, okay? I'm going to talk about the secret in a moment, the secret you've all been waiting for. I'm going to talk about that in a moment. But first, let's talk about these 3 cornerstones. And this is important for you because as you look to work with a company, this is important for you to examine and figure out, does the company have these cornerstones? And do I have these cornerstones? Am I ready for this? Okay, so the first cornerstone we're going to look at is the team that's in place at the company. So when you're looking at the team of the company, one of the first things you want to look at is gurus. Now, we're a financial company, and this is true for health as well. Look at the gurus, not so much the products, but the gurus. Because remember, the goal is to get people to admire and trust the guru so much that they want to pay, or eager to pay for access to him or her. These are our gurus. Everybody here is easy to sell, right? It's hard to sell a guru that doesn't have a really great story, first of all, or secondly, who's very difficult to work with. I'm sure if you talk to some experienced copywriters here, they've worked with gurus who are very, very, very difficult to work with. If you're working with a company, you really want to get a feel with how easy the gurus are to work with. Most of my gurus, they're fine with making big claims. They're fine with saying, look, we think you can make 1,000% next year. That's the best case scenario. Yes, we know that. And the reality is, we give them a great reality. The reality is they might make 100%. That's still really good. I've never had someone email in angry that they didn't make 1,000%. They're very happy making 100%. All right? Trust me, you want gurus who are able to step up to the edge, make big claims, stand behind them. And of course, people who write well, who are committed to the business. Gurus who really care about the readers. It's so important. Because if you've ever had the chance, who in here has worked with a really impossible guru before, whether in the health field or in the financial field, okay? Got a couple of hands raised. Maybe you don't want to raise your hands. Never mind, don't raise your hands. So they're like, oh, my boss is here, but okay. So it can destroy a promotion. I've seen promotions get destroyed because a guru just says, I can't say that. That's too embarrassing. And it'll be some minor detail about something insignificant, and it just blows up the whole promotion. But in any case, gurus, you got to have that with your team, okay? We're talking about how my 5 copywriters were able to do this. Number 1, they have a great team. We talked about gurus. Now, secondly, we're looking at marketing. This is a poster that used to hang up in my office when I was at Newsmax. And if you can't read it, it says marketing, because making it look good now is better than providing adequate support later. I think is what it says. I can't read very well. Oh, it's right here. Hey, how about that? Because making it look good now is more important than providing adequate support later. That's what it says, marketing. I had that hanging in the office at my last job. And I remember looking at it, thinking it's very true for marketing. First of all, our marketing team is very good about making big claims and getting our stuff out there. So it looks like that beautiful sandcastle up at top. The funny part about this is you guys have already seen this. This was one of our top performing promotions. And I looked at it and I thought, you know what, the same thing could be said about our economy. I wonder if we could use this sandcastle for a promotion about our economy. And lo and behold, we did it. It was successful. So that's just a side note. You never know where some of these big ideas come from. It could be a poster hanging up on your wall. So good marketing team, great copy team. Okay, teams together, we could do the work of one. And it's funny and it's meant to be sarcastic, but what's ironic is that when it comes to copy, when it comes to you guys, together, you can do the work of one. You can't work in copy in isolation. This is going to be an important point I kind of stressed to you guys, is that you need feedback from other copywriters. Okay, I think back in the day, I say back in the day, there's a lot of great copywriters who kind of like went into their cave, got on the typewriter, and wrote copy and then sent it back out. It's so easy now, especially with all advanced technologies, whether it's Slack or Google Docs or whatever, to share your copy with people and say, hey, just take a quick look at it. Let me know what you think. It's so important to have a team of copywriters. So again, when you're looking to join a company, it'd be really good for you to look at, hey, do they have a good team in place already that can help raise me up and make me become a better copywriter? If you're the best person there, it might be scary. You want to have people that can help stretch you to that next level. Support, I'll go this quick. Publisher, guys like me, you want a good one. Research team. Legal team's important, really. So you want a legal team that's really good, but also very good at working with you, okay? Instead of saying, no, you can't write that, they say, you can't write that, but if you just do this, we can do that. Graphics team, production team, all this stuff is important when you're working with a team. Okay, so cornerstone 2, this is where Prezi gets weird on me. So we're talking about how they did it, the 5 copywriters. We talked about having a great team in place, your gurus, marketing team, and everything else. Number 2, the goal. We've already talked about this goal. I won't make you read it out loud again. Front-end promotion goal is to get your target audience to admire and trust a guru so much that they're eager to pay for access to him or her. Now, that is what happens on that bottom, okay? This is a pyramid. I always make the joke, congratulations, you're part of a pyramid scheme. It's not really true, but this is a typical business model, right? You come in, get people on the front-end product, $50. They like that product. They get to know the guru. And then they buy the next service. And then they get into the bundle. As a publisher, on that bottom level, the front-end product, the $50 to $100, I don't make any money. In fact, I lose money on that level. Getting people in the door is when I lose lots and lots and lots of money. We lose millions of dollars here. We make lots and lots, millions of dollars on the next 2 levels when people start buying our $3,000 products or $15,000 bundles. That's where we make our money back. So it's important for you guys to keep that in mind when writing a front-end promotion, because remember I talked about you want them to admire the guru so much, to understand that hero's journey so that they keep buying more and more from that guru. Okay, then there's a back-end promotion. Okay, I've had a lot of people ask me, well, what's the difference between a front end and a back end? It's not a whole lot of difference. The difference is that you're trying to get your existing readers to admire and trust a guru's system so much, a system, not the guru, the guru's system so much, that they're eager to pay for additional access to him or her. All right, this should be an easy sale if you have a good guru in place. If you have a bad guru, it's going to be a tough sale. A good guru will make this next sale very possible, because if they love your guru, all the guru has to say is, hey, you're making money here, you're getting healthy here, get my next product. I've had it in times when I have very difficult gurus who don't do a good job. And from a financial side, I'm not just talking about track record, just don't do a good job. To try to sell them the next product is impossible. It doesn't matter how good your copy is. They're like, my first experience was horrible. Why would I get more of a horrible experience? It's an impossible sale for a copywriter. So it's so important to find that team that has those good gurus. So the third way that they did it was the copy platform. Now, in your book, that 500-page manual you got, that is included in there. So I'm going to breeze through this because I really don't want to spend too much time on it. Most copywriters, when I show them the copy platform, they either act one of 2 ways. Either they have an engineering mind, and they see it, and they look like a cat who just got a bunch of water thrown on them. They're like, ah, you know. Or, actually an engineering mind, they love it because they're like, oh, this makes sense. Or they're the creative mindset who just likes to start writing free throw, and they look like a cat who just got water thrown on them. So the copy platform, again, I'm just going to go through this real quick, because I don't want to, it's kind of a little bit boring. So research and development. You want to figure out the best qualities of the guru, best qualities of the product, the villain, the problem, solution, the system. Research, is it a front end or back end? You're just simply going through and answering these questions. It's in that booklet. It says something like the Make Crazy Money platform. It's just 2 pages long. The first section of it is all about research and development, okay? So many times I have copywriters who said, look, I'm going to write a headline. I'm going to write a lead. And I'm like, that's great, but I can write a headline lead in 10 minutes. I don't necessarily need that. Before you do that, I need you to go through and figure out some of these basic concepts. What are the best qualities of the guru? You might find a quality that I don't even understand. You might see a guru like Paul Mampilli, one of our top gurus. I see a guy who's a hedge fund manager. Maybe you see a guy who grew up in poverty, and you know what? He went through a big struggle. And you realize there's a big hero's journey that we're not telling yet. So you could find a quality in that guru that nobody else has. That's why it's so important to start here versus the idea of starting to write right away. The next part, plotting out the promo. What's the USP, unique selling position, the type of promotion, vision, offer, great analogies, big T's, premise, guarantee. I was just talking to some guys up front here who are from Oxford Club. They use this copy platform, and it's helped them out tremendously. And so they go through all these different things to really figure out typical things that we don't always do. It sounds boring, but you got to do this part. Because if you start writing out your promo and you don't know what the offer is, right? You don't know where you're taking them, well, you're going to wind up lost. Okay? You've got to go through this part. And the final part is writing. Okay? Just do a quick summary of what you want to say, and then do a basic outline, and then keep filling in that outline as you go. All right, most of the times I start doing an outline, I'm not talking about basic introduction, body, close. In the body, that's where I'm going to introduce the guru. Here's a couple facts. Here's a system, a couple facts. I start flushing it out. Before long, I got 30 pages of an outline. Now all I have to do is connect the dots. So the copy platform is very important. It's in that book. If you can't find it, shoot me an email. When we go back to that main presentation, you'll see my email there. You can always email me, and I'll send it over to you. All right. So how did they do it? We talked about the 3 cornerstones: team, remembering the goal, having the copy platform. Now let's talk about the secret. And the secret is the big, compelling idea. Say that with me. The big, compelling idea. I used to call this the big idea until I talked to Mark Ford, and he calls it now the big, compelling idea. I'm going to electrocute myself. I don't know what to do with this thing. All right. Now, you've heard of the big idea before. And I want to talk about this because it needs to be a big, compelling idea. And by what I mean by that is, well, let me go to my next slide, the explanation behind it. Something everyone has thought about. You're just confirming their belief. And when I think of the big, compelling idea, I think of comedians. Okay, when Kevin got up here, he started out talking about how hot it was in Florida. He started talking about how lizards sweat. And it's funny because you've thought about this. He's just taking it to that next level. You're like, you know what, man, it is unbelievably humid out. Here, if you're Floridian, you're like, oh, good, the weather's finally turning. It's getting cooler out. The rest of you are like, holy crap, is it hot out? That's Florida, right? But it's something everyone's thought about. You're just taking it to that next level. Or maybe sometimes pointing out something like you knew it, but you didn't really know it. One of my favorite comedians is a guy who talks about children. I have 4 kids underneath the age of 9. And he was just talking about how crazy it is that with young children, the 3 things you can't get them to do are the 3 things that are essential for survival. Number 1, eat. You can't get kids to eat, right? Number 2, sleep. Number 3, bathe. You can't get them to do it. And he's doing this whole skit about it, and it's just funny when you listen to him because he's like, how can you not get these kids to eat? This is part of survival, but I can't get them to eat. Unless it's chicken nuggets and french fries. And I start laughing because I got 4 little kids, and they all go through this whole phase. So the big, compelling idea, it's something that's there, but usually people don't even know that it's there. Okay, Mark Ford sent me an email. He doesn't know I'm quoting him, so I just pulled it from his email the other day. And he said, the big idea must make the target feel like, gosh, that's true. That's exactly right. That's exactly the idea I've been looking for. In other words, the first criterion was that it must be emotionally compelling. It doesn't have to be correct. It just must feel correct, okay? And that's how he phrased it, and I think is a good way to phrase it. So, and this is the way I look at it. To dive into this even further, the big compelling idea, in my mind, okay, this might not be correct according to some books you might have read. In my mind, the big idea either has to present a clear opportunity. Say that with me, opportunity. Okay, the big clear idea must present a big clear opportunity at the door, number 1. I'll get to the next one in a minute. Number 1, it must be a big clear opportunity. I have a big pile of cash here. Okay, I want you guys to imagine for a moment, behind me there's a door, and behind this glass door right here, I can open it up, and there's a pile of cash. I can see it there. All I've got to do is open up this door and grab that cash. I can see how much cash it is. I can see it's probably about $1 million. That's how really I'm going to make $1 million next year. There's a big pile of cash here, and I just have to open it up and grab it. By the time you get done reading a financial promotion, people should feel that way. They should feel like, man, it's just right there. All I got to do is give me my credit card. I'm going to get access to this guru, and he's going to give me this big pile of cash. They've got to feel that way. It's got to be that visual. Now, it can't be far off in the distance. It can't be like, maybe there's some money. I can't tell if it's going to be $1 million or maybe it's $50. I'm not sure. It's got to be a real clear opportunity for them to get them to take that credit card out and pay you some money. Okay, make it visual, make it clear to them what it is. The next concept is that the big, compelling idea has to be a big, clear monster at the door. Everybody say, monster. All right. I put a picture of Jaws here because that is a clear monster at the door. Again, picture the glass door behind me or next to me, okay? I can see this monster at the door, this big, hairy monster. I can smell his breath. He is fearsome. He's gruesome. And I know that any second it's going to barge through and eat me. If it's a fear promo, it's got to be that way, okay? In the health world, it's got to be that way. So let me skip this slide because I just saw a 10-minute thing pop up. Let me give you 2 quick examples. Think about the ab belt. These are both opportunities. I love the ab belt because this is nothing really new. It's just taking the big idea to the next level, right? It's just saying, hey, forget 10-minute abs, forget 5-minute abs. All you gotta do is slap this belt on and you're gonna look like that dude. I love it. Slap it on. It just vibrates you. It's like electrodes going into you or something. I don't know. So that's on one spectrum. Taking that whole idea of abs that's been around since caveman times. I got to get better abs. And making it so that you don't have to do, it's not even 1-minute abs. You don't have to do anything. You just put a belt on and it gives you abs and you look like that dude. Somehow everything gets big. I don't know how that works. On the other spectrum, you got P90X. I love the P90X promo because it's a big infomercial that literally changed America's landscape. I mean, how many CrossFits did you see before P90X? None. Everybody was going to this easier and easier and easier model. P90X came out and said, nothing's easy. You got to work your butt off for 45 minutes and you're going to get strong like us. They went the complete opposite route. And they had a little system behind it and all that kind of stuff. It was a really cool, if you want to go back and check out that promo, it's a really cool promotion that they had out there. And of course, they keep doing new and new versions of it. So those are 2 quick examples in my mind of an emotionally compelling idea. Okay, the process. I'm going to do a little work here. If you've seen this done before, please don't spoil it for everybody else. This has been a study that's been out since about 1900. Some of you has also been around since 1900. So the process to do this, how do you come up with a big compelling idea? Take a look at these 9 dots, okay? And what I want you to do is either replicate this on paper. It's not in your book. Sorry, it's not there. But at least imagine with me for a moment that you have to draw 4 lines without lifting up your pen. You have to draw 4 lines and mark off every one of these dots. And try to figure out how you would do it. If you want to replicate it on a piece of paper and draw 9 dots, like it's up there, and see if you can connect them with 4 lines without lifting up your pen. Now, normally I give you a little more time to do this, but I want to be aware of my time running out. But most people struggle with this because it's really, really hard to do. You can't do it. You'll do like I did, and you start at the top, you cross off the first 3, then go down and around, and you basically create a box. That's what most people do. Here's the solution. First line goes like this. Next line goes way down like that. The next line goes way across like that. And the 4th line goes way across like that. Now a lot of you guys are looking at it thinking, well, I didn't know I could go outside the box. What box? You made the box. It's an imaginary box. There is no box around those 9 dots. But in your mind, you created a box. And when it comes to promotions, a lot of times you put a box around it, and we're not thinking outside the box. This is literally where that phrase came, think outside the box. Okay? We limit ourselves to what's in front of us, and we have to look at a product, whether it's a glass on the table or if you're selling this podium, and you have to start thinking creatively, how can I sell this podium in a whole different and unique way? And that's what's really hard to do, and that's also where it comes back to having that team in place of other copywriters who can help you come up with some really cool creative ideas. I'm going to give you 2 quick examples. Number 1 was a Freedom Checks promotion. This brought in about 125,000 subscribers within 6 months for us. And we started off with this box, if you will. The guru says, now is the time to invest in MLPs. They are cheap and pay an 8 to 12% a year and can set you up for a lifetime of income. That is the box. Now, what do we do with that? How do we make that promotable? Because is it at the forefront of everyone's minds? Remember we talked about the big compelling idea being at the forefront of everyone's minds? Not really. We're in a bull market. This was a year ago we were working on this. We're in a bull market. People want big gains. They're not looking for income. MLPs are master limited partnerships like oil companies. No one's talking about oil. It's not 2011. Is the opportunity at the door? Not really. It's not like that pile of cash sitting behind that glass door. It's far off somewhere. It doesn't look like a big pile. It looks like a small pile. So how do we make this a big pile of cash? How do we put this at the forefront of everyone's minds? This is how we rephrased it. The original's on the top, the new one's on the bottom. On May 1st, 568 agencies are MLPs, by the way, different term for them, 560 agencies will begin paying out $34.6 billion to American taxpayers in the form of U.S. Freedom Checks. See how to collect up to $24,000, $66,000, and even $160,000. Now, isn't that so much more attractive? You don't even have to explain what an MLP is. In the whole promo, we never even talked about MLPs. We just talked about these things called Freedom Checks. What a powerful term, Freedom Checks. Financially freedom, right? It's powerful. And it just took off like crazy. And since then, we've seen everything from, in this industry, everyone copies each other. We saw MAGA checks, saw Trump checks, saw Republican checks. Everyone started imitating us and trying to knock us off. The other one I was going to do was the sandcastle. Again, this is a great example of taking a box idea and making it an emotionally compelling idea. The box idea we started out with was, our debt is unsustainable. This is what our guru is saying, right? He's saying our debt is unsustainable. It will cause the U.S. economy to collapse. So it's basically the same concept that's been out since 1900, since the beginning of time. Nothing new, right? We've been scaring people with the old big debt monster for a long time. So how do we go about this? How do we make this a big, emotionally compelling idea? Well, you started out with a sandcastle. That's how you do it. And the promotion started out, the basic summary is, this market is unsustainable. This is the summary of the promotion. Okay, this market's unsustainable. It's going to crash by 50%. Very vivid, right? What's that monster look like? A 50% collapse. Just like it did in 1999 and 2008. Remember that? I remember that. That sucked. And it's linked back to this frail foundation that nobody's talking about. Trust me, I predicted the last 3 crashes. I'm going to be right about this one as well. This was an interesting promotion, and I think this is important, so listen closely to me. In this promotion, we knew that if we led with debt as being the monster, people would leave because they've heard that threat before. Just like in Jaws, where they hid the shark for like an hour. I mean, I know it was an unintentional, but it winded up being the benefit of the movie. We had to hide what the monster was. But we were able to show it using this castle. Like, this is America's economy. The promotion actually started out, this sandcastle is beautiful, just like America's beautiful. We have this, we have that, we have this. But nobody is talking about the cracks in our foundation or the frail base that everything is around. And I'm going to tell you what it is. But first, let's go over the cracks. So he goes through each crack, and it's scarier and scarier and scarier. And then when he reveals it, it's debt, which is kind of like wah, wah. But you've been watching the promo for 40 minutes. You want to hear the guy out. and he explained his debt, but you've never heard this side of the story before. And he goes even further. So there's a great way, that's a great way to do it. It's a great example. Again, this was a promotion that came out during a bullish market, and it worked very, very well for us, bringing over 100,000 subscribers. So that's the whole basis of what I want to talk to you about today. How did we do it? How can you make $1 million next year? It's really understanding the big, compelling idea. A couple quick final notes I want to go over is remember the goal. Okay, this is such an important thing to remember. It's to get your target audience to admire and trust a guru so much that they're eager to pay for access to him or her. Secondly, this isn't easy. It's not easy. My team, as experienced as we are, we're about 3 for 30. You saw the 3 promotions that took off. We've done about 30 of them. Not to say that 27 failed. They just weren't home runs. Okay, we've had a few failures, but most of them were base hits. Once in a while, you hit one out of the park. Third, your audience will never tell you what the big idea is. Okay, I hear people say, give a survey, and I think that's great, but trust me, nobody has ever told us that they want to know about Internet of Things. That was one of our big promotions. Nobody ever told us they want freedom checks, okay? And even if they did, no one's going to tell you. They're going to tell you what everyone says. They're going to say, I want 5% returns. I don't ever want to lose my money. Trust me, if you come out with a promotion saying that, you're not going to sell anything. Okay, they're going to buy the dream, and you're going to give them a really good reality. This is important to me. Own the promotion. Make sure you're staying with me. Okay, say own. Own. Own the promotion from start to finish. Okay, guys, so many times I get copy from you, and you just say it and say, here you go, I'm done. Bye. Imagine for a moment if I wrote out my entire speech today, and I handed it in, and it was a VSL, and it just went up on screen. Some guy got up, hello, my name is Aaron DeHope. I'm the executive publisher of Banyan Hill. I'm going to read a legal disclaimer. It's going to make you laugh. It'd be boring, right? Own it all the way through. I encourage my copywriters, I'm like, please come watch us film this thing, because when you wrote this, you knew what inflection you had in mind. And when we're filming, I want you to say, stop, cut. Okay, can you read that again? And here's what I want you to say. So we really try to get our copywriters involved through the whole process. A lot of promotions you're writing I know aren't being filmed, but you get the idea. Walk it all the way through. Make sure you see that final production. Get a network of copywriters to help you. Okay, that's part of the reason you're here. Probably the most important reason you're here is to get a network of copywriters. Every single promotion that's been a big hit, I probably had 5 or 6 copywriters reviewing it, commenting on it, tweaking it to the last very moment. It's so important to have that, no doubt about it. And then finally, love what you write about. Love it. It's really hard. You can fake it for a little while, but if you love what you write about, it's going to go so much further because you truly, truly believe it. I'm sorry, one more thing. Read the book Influence, okay? If you haven't read the book Influence, I strongly recommend you read it. It's not a copy book. It's not even a marketing book. But trust me, it's going to impact the way you write copy. Because you're going to start to understand what causes people to act. And you're just going to start setting in your mind when you start writing. So it's extremely powerful. So with all of that said, my hope is that you guys understand the copy secret that's going to make you $1 million. If I could summarize it in one sentence, it's very simply that you have to write the big, compelling idea that is going to get your target audience to admire and trust a guru so much that they're literally eager to pay for access to him or her. Write in that fashion, write with a team of people that can help you get there. That's the end. Thank you.